Hey everyone, welcome back to FedBiz Exchange. I'm Michelle Brown, your mentor and your coach. And today I want to talk to you guys about federal agencies that love buying from woman-owned businesses. Yes, WOSBs, I'm talking to you. WOSBs and EDWOSBs. You guys need to get on it. You're not going after these contracts, but there are some women that really know what to do. They know who these agencies are, but I want to see you guys out there getting some of these contracts. My followers, if you're listening to me, if you're watching, you need to go and see about getting these contracts. I'm going to let you know today which agencies are out there looking for you. Okay, now we're going to head on over to USASpending.gov because this is the fastest way for you to get a snapshot of the federal agencies that are working with WOSBs, women-owned businesses. So I am here and I'm going to highlight award search. I'm going to click on advanced search. I'm going to get to a page that looks like this. Here are the filters on my left side. I don't need keywords, but I do need to check a couple of the boxes for fiscal years because I want to see past history. The best way to know what your federal buyers are going to do is to know what they've done already and what they do consistently. What is their history? What are they buying from a year ago all the way up to maybe 2 years ago to get a really good picture, because the government doesn't change that much. So I'm going to check FY 2020, FY 2019. I'm going to come down a little bit further. I'm going to check contracts because that's what I'm looking for. Now I don't need recipient, I don't need location because I'm going to get all of that in my report anyway. But I do need to know the set-asides, which would be woman-owned small business and EDWOSB, economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business. Okay, that's all I need. Now I'm going to hit submit to get the search, and this is what I get. I get 6,434 awards to women and economically disadvantaged women. Now, what do I want to do? I need to look at this report in a little bit more detail. So I'm going to click on download, transaction, and then everything, okay, so that I can see what's going on with the types of opportunities women have been given by federal agencies. I'm going to learn which federal agencies actually awarded the contracts, okay? Now, sometimes once it's downloaded, it'll disappear. But what I do is I will go to a different page to see if I can find it, or I'll just go over here, up here to my download button right here, and it's going to be right here in my downloads. I'm going to click on Prime Transactions, and this is what I'm going to see. Now, this is what you're going to see once you click the download button. You choose Contracts, Prime Transactions. That's what you need to look at. You're going to click on that. Then your report, once you click on Prime Contracts, your report is going to look like this. Now, this looks a little bit messy, but I teach you how to clean it up and how to read it very quickly, how to quickly clean it up and how to quickly read it. Now, here is what the report is going to look like once it's cleaned up. This is what mine looks like because I highlight it in different colors so that I can specifically focus on the columns that I want to really observe and pay attention to, and also to present to you. Colors are a little bit easy, but there are a few columns here, A all the way through K. Now, you need to focus on the title of the columns because when you open your report, you're going to immediately do a search for these titles, award ID. As soon as you go through each column, you can either do the search under Find, or you can just go through the whole report and highlight the different columns. That's what I did. So award ID is in the first set of columns. I just highlighted it. That is the ID number for the contract. Total dollars obligated. That's how much the award contract was for. So this first contract was for $150,000. The second contract was for $3,777,728. Okay. The performance period is when the contract started. I took out when the contract ended, but this is when the contract started. Okay. And then column D is award sub-agency. Now listen to this very carefully. When you're looking at opportunities, you need to know which agency you're working with. Every agency has a parent agency. Most of them do. I shouldn't say everyone. Like this one here, Agency for International Development, doesn't really have a parent agency. They are an agency within itself. Veterans Administration doesn't have a parent agency. They are an agency within itself. But this is the sub-awarding agency. Very important. You're always looking for sub-awarding agency because, as an example, the Department of Justice has lots of little agencies under them. They're called sub-agencies. They have the Bureau of Prisons, they have ATF, they have the FBI, they have the DEA. Those are sub-agencies. That's what you look for. Not to say the Department of Justice will never buy anything directly, but you always look for the sub-agency because that's where the money is coming from. That's who's making the decision, and that's where the contracting officer is. So whenever you run a report, you look for the awarding agency. And right now, that's what I'm trying to help you guys find. The next column is the recipient, which would be your competitor, whoever the other woman-owned businesses companies are that are winning these contracts. Then we also highlighted the state that they're in, just so that you can see that. That's not necessarily important to me, but it may be important to you. Then the award description. This is very important because it identifies and describes the type of contract. So we know this first column, this was a $150,000 contract. It was awarded by the Agency for International Development. The company name is Jefferson Consulting Group. They're located in DC, Washington, DC. And the purpose of this is to modify a performance contract that they already have. Now, that doesn't really help you a lot, but if you were looking at some of these other descriptions, you would see what I mean. These other descriptions describe the type of work that they're doing for the agency. Like in this case, New Africa Institutional and Technical Support Services. That's some IT stuff. So the International Development Agency hired Zemitech to do this New Africa Institutional IT project. Okay. Now, the next column after the award description is the NACE codes. Now, if you see something on here that you say to yourself, this is an interesting project, like this knowledge management services, and you're interested in more like this, but the NACE code that you normally use is 541 something else. It's not 541611. You need to add this 541611. This is why your research is so important. You can learn so much and become so smart and intelligent about who your buyers are, what they're buying, where they're buying, who they're buying with, how much they're spending. It's just basic business acumen to do that. You did that when you started your own business. Do your homework, and then you will waste less time. So here are the NACE codes in the second column, or next to the description, I should say, then the NACE description. So all of your NACE codes have descriptions, and guess what I've taught you about your descriptions? Those are your keywords. These are the keywords that are attached to your NACE codes. If I had highlighted the PSC codes, which are also in this report, but I did not highlight them because we weren't really talking about PSC codes, but you know PSC codes are important. But if I had kept the PSC codes, they would be right next to the NACE codes, and they would have descriptions. So you need to use these keywords as your descriptions when you're looking for contracts. Then the type of set aside is the type of business that they chose. Well, I ran a woman-owned small business report. So those are the only types of set asides I would choose to see: EDWOSB and WOSB. Okay. Now these are all of the columns that I chose to keep because they tell me the story. Now, one more column and then I'll tell you what the story is. The number of offers received. This is very important because this lets you know you don't have a lot of competition. There are tens of thousands of women-owned businesses in the SAM system, and they never compete for a contract. They don't know how. They don't know what they're doing. You know only because I'm teaching you and you're here on my channel. This is the problem. So if you're not bidding, if it's because you don't know where to find the opportunities, if you just listen to what I'm telling you, you will be able to find the opportunities and you won't be afraid to bid on the opportunities. Look at your competition here. This number one means they had one person to bid on this contract who was a woman-owned business. One. And that was probably the person that won, this Jefferson Consulting Group. This right here, this line number 7, had 4 people to compete. It's just so amazing that people don't understand. It's not as scary as it looks because your competition is minimal. If you have 5 or 7 or 10 people competing against you, that's a lot. You have a 50 to 60% chance of winning. And in some cases, if you do everything right with your pricing, you have a 60 to 75% chance, maybe even 80% chance of winning. And if you're the only one that bid, you may have an 80 to 90% chance. People are not bidding. You women are not bidding. Use your certification to make your competition smaller. The more you do, and you know others are not doing it, it increases, triple folds your chances for winning. Now, what I wanted you to see in this report is the agencies that are doing business with women. So let's just quickly go over these agencies. There are 6,000 contract awards in here. I can't go over all of them, but you see Agency for International Development is one of the agencies you should be looking for if any of these descriptions match things that you do. Or if your code is, for instance, 541611, you should be all over the Agency for International Development. Let's go down a little bit further. Agricultural research services. Even further, animal and plant health inspection. Of course, you need to look to see what type of work they have people doing. But once you determine that the federal agencies love to work with women-owned businesses, then you come and run a report to see what they're buying. This description column is telling you what they're buying. Let's look at a few more. The ATF, I just mentioned the ATF. Who else? Bureau of Land Management. They're with or under Department of Interior. So is the Department of Reclamations, Bureau of Reclamations. They're with the Department of Interior. They love small business and women-owned small businesses. What else? Or I should say, which other agencies? Look at how much business they do with women. Fiscal Services, the Bureau of Fiscal Services. Who else? All of this list, this entire column D, tells you all the federal agencies that work with women-owned businesses. This is better than doing an FBO search, seriously, because now that I'm showing you this, you can go and get a forecast report, for instance, a forecast report for HHS, which is, HHS is the parent for Centers of Medicare and Medical Services or Medicaid services. So all you got to do is go over to HHS, look for their forecast report. And what is the forecast report? Those are contracting opportunities that are coming out. They have not even been put out to bid yet. You could easily introduce yourself to a contracting officer, a federal buyer, and say, I just want to let you know that I'm interested in this forecast that you have on ABC contract. Is it still coming out to bid? Just a very simple, straightforward, quick sentence about that. You would be amazed. That's the marketing you do. You don't send out a whole bunch of messages to different contracting officers just because you think that they're the right agencies. You do your homework first, and I'm helping you to do that. Corporation for National Community Services. I know a lot of agencies, and I don't even know what agency that is. I could look it up. I could look to see what they do. So, I mean, there are hundreds and hundreds of agencies that are buying from small businesses and women that are certified. Remember, they have to meet these goals. Court services, I saw that up top. Defense Commissary Agency. All of these are amazing. Defense Health Agency, that's a great agency. They love small business. That's a DOD agency. Defense Logistics Agency. That's DIBS. I talk about DIBS all the time. I know you guys, a lot of you don't know what DIBS is, but I will be doing some training on that eventually. What else? So Defense Logistics Agency is in here a lot, and they rarely do certain types of set-asides. They mostly do total small business, and they do veterans. To see them doing some woman-owned stuff is amazing. It's wonderful. Departmental offices. So you need to run a report, Department of Air Force, that looks like this. Follow the instructions, and you print out this report. First, you print it out. No, before you print it out, you should actually clean it up. Take these columns up here that I've been talking to you about, highlight them, and read this report and decide which agencies you're going to look at and work with. This is how you get to your answers pretty quickly, is by doing some quick research. And that's basically it. Now, we could also go over to fbo.gov and look for some woman-owned opportunities, but this is even better. And the reason I say this is better, because when I take you over to fbo.gov and we look at some WOSB opportunities, we're not going to see a lot. We're going to see some. They come out sometimes. But the reason you don't see more is because you guys are not bidding. You're not going after these contracts. If the officers, the federal buyers see you, they will award you these contracts, but they don't see you. They have to look for you, which is fine, but they're not always going to look for you. So you see the same women winning over and over because a lot of you are not taking the time to do these quick things to determine your long-term strategy. Okay? And that's it. That's all I want you to do. If you're serious and ready to start winning government contracts, get on the wait list for my private Mentor Circle beta program. And don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.